What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we've got the Trailblazer back in my shop and we're going to finish the exhaust system. So if you watched the previous videos, I built the X pipe and put the mufflers on, but they just stopped at the rear axle. So today we are going to go over the axle and all the way out the back. So what I have to complete that is a couple of takeoff Corsa tips. Those aren't going to be the ones that I actually use, but they'll be good for mock-up. And then we have a bunch of vibrant 90-degree bends, all 3-inch. So basically, from the mufflers, I'm going to come all the way back. And the valance has already been cut for an SLP dual exhaust setup. So we're going to kind of use that. But what I want to do first is get my tips exactly where I want them. So I'm going to weld on a little piece of tube to the tips on each side, make hangers in the back, and then we'll build between the mufflers and the tips. Okay, so we have the tip tacked on to, this will be the driver's side. The passenger side, we have the tip tacked on as well. And we've got one of the hangers in here just to kind of give us an idea of where we're going to go. So what I think I'm going to do is I'll build this side first. So we're going to have to go over the panhard bar support, around the axle, around the spring, and then into this muffler. So if anyone tells you this is easy, don't listen to them. Basically what I'm going to do is just start cutting stuff and kind of piece it together as I go. So I'd like for this to be one piece all the way until it slips onto the muffler. The passenger side we're going to piece together, probably put a slip fit here and do it in 2 pieces. So let's start rolling. So here's one of the 90s that I have. And the hardest thing for me in building stuff like this is going in between 2 points. So I have to go between here and there. Right, so basically I'm just going to kind of guess what I need to do. So obviously I don't want a 90 right here. I want it at a little bit of an angle going up above the spring. Probably not a 45, probably more like 60. So really all I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it and see how close it is. And if I need to modify it a little bit more, I will. All right, so moving right along, we have the piece of tube that goes over the axle. Now this is all just tacked, so this is a slip fit. This is the 60, and then we put a 90 here that goes around the spring and over the axle. And where that leaves us is right here. So what I'm going to do is just make a little piece that goes in here. It won't be a pie cut, it'll actually be part of a bend. And then once I get that fit, I'll mark it and tack it, and then we'll put this up in there and see what it looks like. So I think on this side, this will be the only hanger I use. So there's a hanger on the muffler, then a hanger here on the tip. When I come through the other side, I'll probably have to put a hanger up here and then another one over here. We'll see how it ends up looking. All right, so this side pretty much mocked up, right? So all I have to do is finish weld it. Like I said, I'm just gonna do the one hanger here. I'll weld down it a little bit further and then cut the end of that off. But the tip fits about where I want it. Now these are a 4.5-inch tip. The tips that are going on it are gonna be 4. So what I'm gonna gain is a 1/4 inch of clearance around the top. So it should line up pretty good once I get the other exhaust tip on here. So now what I'm doing is basically going to mimic what I did over here. 60 degree, and then we'll put a 90 degree, and it should come out right next to this one, and then we're going to come over this way, and I'll get that tip hung here in just a minute, and then we'll connect the dots just like we did on the passenger side. All right, so moving right along, we've got this piece that's going to come straight across, so parallel with the rear axle, and then we're going to 90 back into the tip right here. So I have this section over here on the bench. And unfortunately, I have to put a little bit of a kick in it to get the tailpipe to line up perfectly straight. But I'm going to tack that on. We've got our slip fit up here. put it back up under the truck and see what it looks like, and then we'll make our hanger for the tip section of the exhaust. Okay, so we have this tip where we want it. It's sticking out a little far, but that's okay, because like I said, this isn't the tip that's going on it, just as long as it's centered in the hole. So what I'm going to do now is make the hanger here off this bolt to hold this tip. And then I'll make a hanger probably right here, coming off here, going up to this hole. And then I have a lot of welding to do. Okay, so we have our hanger here. I don't have anything to make a hanger right here at the moment, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull this down, cut the hangers to length, and start welding all this stuff together. Alright, so all the tubing is welded. I'm going to put it back up in the truck with the clamps and figure out the last hanger real quick. We'll weld that in, and then we'll fire it up and see what it sounds like. Now, on Tuesday, which is 3 days from today, the tips that I'm going to use will come in. So I'll have to tack those on once they get here, and then this install will be complete. Alrighty, so that's going to do it. True dual 3-inch exhaust with an X-pipe. All the way up. Cool. Let's let it down and see what it sounds like. Oh, and for those wondering, these are Stainless Works S-tube mufflers. And I'm gonna say it again because no doubt someone will say something. The tips are not perfect. They're actually touching the body right now, because the tips that are gonna go on this for the final product are a 1/2 inch in diameter smaller. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. I'll be sure to post up some pictures on Instagram, so be sure that you follow me once I get the new exhaust tips on there. Hopefully getting this thing on the dyno in the next week or two after I change out the break-in oil. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.